welcome to the premiere episode of Dude, Check This Out, a music podcast where we talk about music from the past, the present with artists from the future. Quick footnote, as all good podcasts have, excuse me, I'm going through puberty again. What we're doing here is we're talking about a bunch of music today, but we can't talk about all the genres. There are too many genres of music, if you call them that. So we're going to try our best. If you have an idea of what we should talk about or an artist we should speak to, make sure to email Hambone Relay at gmail.com. Speaking of Hambone Relay, this podcast is by Hambone Relay. My name is Rob Tate. I'm the drummer and percussionist of Hambone Relay, and I hit cymbals every now and again. And our producer is Mr. Mark Brown, who does the organ and the business dealings of Hambone Relay.
Hey, guys.
And what we do, thank you for using your desk mic. That was good. What we do here is we're going to talk about a lot of music. You know, when you have conversations with friends and you want to talk about music you've heard that they haven't heard of, or you talk about the top 40, whether you think it stinks or if you think that there's actually quality music, but we just haven't found it yet. I personally hate people that say that sentence. You know what I mean? It's there's no good music anymore. Music stopped being great back in the 80s, the 90s, the 70s, whoever you talk to. There's tons of great music, tons of it. And that's what we're going to talk to John Gilbride about today. And he's my guest. We're going to talk to him. Each episode of Dude, Check This Out is going to feature a different co-host. We're going to interview them, and we're going to talk about different music that they like, the last things they've listened to, the latest projects that they've put out, which John has.
Hi, Rob.
Hey, buddy. It's shaking.
It's so good to be here.
I know.
Thanks for having me.
The premiere episode.
I know, it's exciting.
How's it make you feel?
Makes me feel loved and beautiful.
A little horny?
Horny, yes. Randy.
Something's happening.
Randy, yes.
Okay.
Not quite horny. Funny British Austin Powers Randy.
I'm offended.
Yeah. No, but thank you both for having me.
Man.
Love me some Hambone.
But like I said, we're going to talk about a couple different things. But first, we're going to talk to, like I said, John Gilbride. We'll start off here. You were born in Scranton, right?
Scranton, Pennsylvania,
Scranton,
yes.
PA. Mm-hmm. I love it, man. And I found this quote online.
Oh, my God, you did. You've done research.
I did
wow.
research. I know. Usually I don't prep for things.
And for a pilot episode, I'm so proud of you.
I know. It'll never be like this ever again.
This is going to be a juicy, amazing podcast.
All right, here is the quote.
Uh-oh.
All right.
Is it a Michael Scott quote? Because I don't want to hear it.
Oh, I wish it was.
All right.
But if you're unfamiliar, The Office is from Scranton. All right. Or in Scranton. Here's the quote. Yeah. When asked about starting music, you said, family is everything. Christmas is everything. I loved Christmas songs and fell in love with the piano, listening to jazz records, hearing my aunt play songs on the piano around the holidays. Now, what I was curious about was what kind of stuff your aunt played.
Wow, where'd you pull that? Amazing.
Don't worry about it.
That's awesome. I've long been infatuated with Christmas and the holidays. It's a result of my mother being almost overly obsessed with the holidays. When I say obsessed, I mean decorate every inch of the outside, drive my dad insane, put on Christmas music by Michael Bublé 5 weeks before Thanksgiving, and just really go over the top. And so I fell in love with Christmas music.
Well, hold on. You said Michael Bublé. That album wasn't out yet, was it?
I think what I meant to say was was probably Kenny G or something along those lines.
Michael Bublé, Kenny G.
The same thing. Kenny G is like my Michael Bublé now. Michael Bublé is so ingrained in my Christmas psyche because it's all you ever hear.
Yeah,
so now that's all I'm thinking about.
I know, but he hates it though. You've seen that he has an interview with.
Well, then why do it? Then don't do it.
I think he did it out of joy, but then
no, he doesn't. You know what you're doing, Bublé. You know you have a silky smooth, velvety voice, and your voice is perfect for Christmas songs. So don't complain when it goes multi-platinum and is more successful than any of your actual records. I just don't get it.
I think he's complaining because the memes and things that come out. You seen the meme of
no?
It's Christmas time for Michael Bublé to come out of his cave, and there's like a meme of him coming out. Oh, it's hilarious. And I think it's Graham Norton asks him about it. Go to Graham Norton's
oh yeah yes
page on YouTube, and they ask him about it. He's just like, yep.
Right. Okay. Well, so, I don't know. I think you kind of know what you're signing up for. I don't know.
Yeah, I think it was too big for him to choose.
Anyway,
yeah.
Kenny G.
Yeah,
just in general Christmas music before the holidays, and there's no music in my family before me really. My
mom played?
My mom didn't play or sing. My dad didn't play or sing. Nobody that I knew of played or sang. It was just something that from the time I was probably 5 or 6 at my aunt's house, where she would sit down and play everything from Deck the Halls to I'll have a blue Christmas without you, and all these different things. And I think what meant the most was just what it meant for the people in the room. You know, it's one thing to play Christmas music, and it's one thing to sit around a table and talk on the holidays, but it's a whole other experience. It's much more visceral and genuine when somebody is making sound with their fingers and singing with, you know, with their voice. And I just loved it. And I sang along, and I watched their fingers, and it was just something that, you just know that, like anybody knows anything. Like if you're a kid on the kitchen floor with pots and pans, if you want to be a drummer, it's like, oh, okay, that I like banging on things. I have some rhythm, hopefully. But for me, it was just I just want to do that. That's all I really wanted. It wasn't about, the instrument itself. It was about the feeling.
Was it like the feeling of like family?
Yeah.
Like the when a family gets together, and that's what the music kind of brings you back to that feeling?
Yeah, harmony more than anything. It's like one cohesive unit around a central idea of just conveying emotion through song. And so it was song that led me to the piano, and then piano led me to theory, and then lessons forever and recitals and classical theory and all that stuff. So music has always been there, always been there. So that was sort of my mom and dad bought me with the money they had at the time, just a little Yamaha keyboard that I still have in my apartment today. It's like,
Wait, that's the same one?
It's the same one, yeah.
Dude.
Yeah, which is pretty crazy, yeah.
Check that out.
Yeah, not weighted keys, nothing like that, just not a full set of keys, just something I can start with. Because they didn't want to invest in a piano. They're on a budget. When you're younger, you don't realize how tight on money your parents might be, or the struggle they're going through is the same we're going to be going through in a couple years if we have kids. They couldn't afford a piano, so they got me a keyboard, and I made it work. And I got a year into playing the keyboard, and it was just clear that I was serious, and I was getting good enough to the point where they were like, okay. And then they bought me my first piano. Oh. And so then you just run with it.
Do you still have that one?
Oh, yeah.
The second piano?
Yeah, that's at home. That's something that's been an issue for me this past year of getting it down to Philly, and is it worth it? Because it's something that's very special to me. Mm-hmm. It's just a Cobbler & Campbell, not top of the line, not bottom, just middle of the road, a lovely piano that somehow holds a amazing tune, hasn't been tuned in like 7 years.
Did you say, it's a real piano? Okay.
Oh, yeah, it's an upright. It's an upright Cobbler & Campbell, yeah.
For some reason, I automatically assumed it was like a weighted keys piano. That's amazing. Mm-hmm. Okay, but back to your aunt. Do you say aunt or aunt? Just out of curiosity.
I like to say that I say aunt because it sounds like I should, but honestly, throughout my life, I'm probably 80-20 aunt, and lately trying to refine my speech for some reason and going, I say aunt all the time.
Yes, it's very proper.
Yes, of course I say aunt.
Well, no, the only reason I was asking is because I know Scranton and Philly are very different lingo. Or I guess phrasing. Yeah. And I was just curious.
Yeah, for sure. I've always been the weird one. I came to Philadelphia at a time when a lot of transplants from Scranton came to go to Temple University and Drexel and a lot of places. It was like an infusion of Scranton people. Mm-hmm. And the more people I meet who know people from Scranton, which I say Scranton, and everybody from there says Scranton. And I'm that douchebag who decides to correct people on their grammar and say, no, it's Scranton. You
need to enunciate.
Enunciate, Scranton. We're not crazy people from northeastern Pennsylvania, which people think we're hillbillies. It's a city of like 74,000 people. It's an amazing little town with the most bars and churches like per capita, which is crazy.
True?
Well, people like to go to church and then they drink afterwards.
And then they like to sin.
Yeah, that's it. Atone for their sins, because it's really all there is to do in city proper of Scranton. But
yeah, it's like
But my whole family's up there, and all my cousins who moved out to go to college, who are all older than me, are all now going back there, like because they're to raise a family in the surrounding areas. Like they're raising beautiful families and their kids and everything else, and it's a beautiful place to be if that's depending on your career choice or your or whatever you want to do in life in general. For me, it wouldn't work.
Yeah, because there's not too many venues to perform like original music there, right?
And the culture isn't right. I mean, there are places you can go make a buck playing in a bar, but the culture and the creative community and the size and the diversity and the level of talent. Nothing against anybody in Scranton, but the nature of being in a major metropolitan area is, not the competition. I don't like to say that, but the talent level is such that it makes you challenge everything you do. You know what I mean? I feel like there's some complacency in the industry if you're just surrounding yourself with the same people, the same places all the time. Whereas if you go to a place that you never thought you deserved to play in your mind, at least in mine, I have this weird low ego about things like, wow, I can never play at this place, or wow, I can never sit in or play with this band. Just go do it, and if it works, great. And if it pays off, great. And if it doesn't, you learn something. You try again. You know,
Right.
is that sort of? I don't think you could do that in Scranton as much.
Well, I have a question about that. That was my next question. Thank you for the good lead-in. Is this? There are two pretty big music festivals in Scranton.
At Montage.
At Montage Mountain.
Yeah.
That's right. They got Camp Bisco
Yes.
and Peach Fest.
Yeah. I don't know much about Peach Fest. I know if some Philly artists have played Camp Bisco, but I don't know a whole lot about either one of those, sadly. They kind of started after I left.
What I was curious about, you said you
But Montage
you saw
Mountain itself is amazing. I've been there many times through childhood.
Okay, so you've been up to the mountain, just not during the festivals or anything.
It's an
like
incredible venue, and I see why they would do it. It's just this beautiful. If you've ever been to Susquehanna Bank Center, formerly Tweeter, formerly whatever in Camden,
Too many names. We're not gonna go.
it's a similar sort of look as far as the physical stage, the amphitheater area, and the lawn. Only it's set in the middle, on a mountain in the middle of the woods, so the whole backdrop is just forest and pine trees, and it's really gorgeous. And to the top of like a ski mountain, basically. Montage Mountain is also a ski resort in Scranton. It's our ski mountain. It's not the biggest or best, but I grew up skiing there. You know, so it's a really, really amazing venue. There's like one road that leads up to it, up and back. It's really cool.
So it's just one road leading up to the mountain.
As far as I know, and
Okay.
people from Scranton can tweet Hambone Relay and tell them I'm crazy, but there's pretty much one main road that goes up, and you know,
Yeah, it's cool.
It's really neat.
Hey, Mark, I forget. Did you ever get to go to Peach Fest or anything like that?
No, I didn't make it, but I've been to Montage Mountain a bunch. And
Like you
it's
did
awesome.
hikes and stuff.
And what's that?
You hiked up there and stuff.
Well, yeah. I saw my first concert. I saw Leonard Skinner there.
Oh, that's where that
Actually-
venue was.
Yeah. I saw Skinner and the Doobie Brothers there, man.
Pre Michael McDonald.
Oh, Michael McDonald was there, and it was not. No.
I saw David Bowie at Montage Mountain.
No.
I saw David Bowie for free. My friend's mom.
Wait, what era?
Shout out to Kelly Byron. My friend's name is Caitlin Byron. Hello, but she worked for the Phillies minor league team at the time, and so they're all connected with the venue and stuff like that.
Is that the Pigs?
It was the Red Barons. It was like
Red
it
Barons.
was the AAA, so right before the Bigs.
Oh, okay.
They've since moved, and now it's the Yankees minor league team. But so she just had tickets, and at the time, I was sort of like a high schooler who, frankly, sorry, music world, wasn't totally into Bowie. I didn't really know much about it. I knew who David Bowie was, but I knew him from, like, of course, The Labyrinth. Mm-hmm. Tell me you've seen The Labyrinth.
Bits and pieces.
Okay.
I've never seen it all the way through. I'm sorry, I can't.
Homework. Please go home and watch The Labyrinth. You will revel in all that is Bowie.
All right, ladies and gents, you have to watch the.
I'm not going to
Labyrinth.
say any more than that, but just go watch that. It's up there with like the Never-Ending Story for me of like two movies when I was younger that are just weird and out there that I can't stop thinking about. Anyway, so that's all I knew David Bowie from. I was like, oh, the guy from The Labyrinth? To which people looked at me and shook their head. But I saw David Bowie up there, and it was amazing.
Do you remember what era it was, or what album would have came out right before it for that tour? It's okay if you don't. I'm just really curious.
It would have been like 2000 and I probably saw him in 2004-ish or 3-ish, something
Okay.
like that. Yeah, but
That's amazing. Did
Yeah.
he have like a whole band, like a whole lights thing? And...
he did. No, it was weird. It was like sort of light out. So like but it didn't have that impact of like maybe if it was darker and like that whole Bowie thing. But and I didn't appreciate it until later. You know, when I started listening to David Bowie and how much of a genius he is and everything else, I was like, oh, I saw that guy. You know what I mean?
That's nuts.
It's kind of like I saw Jerry Lee Lewis live, and I didn't think that much about it at a Farm Aid here in Camden. And I didn't think about it until later. I was like, oh, I saw that guy. You know? So it was like one of those.
That's amazing.
Yeah. I've also seen Jewel at Montage Mountain, so there's kind of a broad range of people I've seen at Montage.
Hey, I saw Jewel at Montage Mountain too, bro.
Oh wait, were you guys at the same show?
Was it the same show when Rob Thomas was on the same bill?
No, it was Chord Fest with Blues Traveler.
Oh, much
Wait,
better.
Hold on. Wait, you saw Rob Thomas too?
I saw Rob Thomas and Jewel toured together, not Matchbox 20. Rob Thomas toured on his like solo thing.
It's like the Smooth days.
This is right after Matchbox 20. Then it
Yep.
would have been like
Right
his
after-
first record.
Yep.
The not Smooth, because Smooth happened later. What's the Diamonds Falling Down?
Yeah.
Would have been the
Maybe.
single?
Yeah.
I don't know why.
But it was
Thanks,
Rob,
Mom.
It was Rob Thomas and Jewel joint bill. It was great.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
That's so nuts.
Sorry to go like way back in the time machine from Montage.
No,
but,
I liked it, man.
But yeah.
Well, here's one thing I think people don't know about you,
Uh-oh.
and you can dive
Great.
into this, is that you weren't planning on being a musician.
Oh no. Mm-mm.
You went to Temple, right?
I went to Temple.
And what did you go to school for?
I studied in the business school, the Fox School of Business, as well as the School of Journalism there.
Did you like it?
I liked it. When I left high school, I was sort of a product of some convention, just because of how my family at large and Scranton at large views the world and sort of what success looks like and what adulthood looks like. So I did well in school. I was all those things in high school that you'd imagine. Did really well, high honors, blah, blah, blah. What do you do after that? You apply to school. So yeah, I went to Temple. Wasn't sure what I wanted to do, like, at all. I just didn't know. I thought I wanted to be a broadcaster, like go to journalism school and be like a broadcaster.
Like a weatherman.
Yeah, like a weatherman.
John Gilbride, the weatherman.
Yeah, I'd be a great weather guy. I still would. I can always go back. But it was one of those things where...
My weatherman gig is the fallback. Hold on, let's talk about this.
Oh, we can go there. You want to go there?
No.
We could talk about my lifelong dream to be a meteorologist, yeah.
Oh, my God.
No, it's like one of those things when you're 17, 18, being a sportscaster sounds like one thing, and then realizing the road to that and what it really means and what you're really doing, it just sounds like, depending on if you're really passionate about it, it just doesn't end up being that thing. So I entered the journalism school at first, enjoyed it, and then decided to go towards business. I had a mentor senior year of high school when I applied to some music schools and stuff that said, are you good at anything else? Could you be anything else if you didn't go to school for music? Because you've studied piano and all this other stuff. And I realized I never wanted to teach music. So I didn't want to go and get my degree in that. And my parents were heavy on the fallback plan and this and that. But so I dove into the business school. I studied marketing and finance. And Temple was great. I met a lot of my lifelong friends there. Amazing community, diverse culture there, much like Philadelphia. It represents the city more than any other school in the city. It really does.
Well, I don't know about that. See, like, they got UPenn and they got, like, Drexel, too.
I mean culturally. I mean the diversity of the city. I feel like it's the most diverse school. I
guess you're right in that regard. Campus is beautiful now.
Yeah. And it's a little more, quote, blue collar, you know what I mean? Kind of similar to Philly, too. Like, that's the kind of vibe. That's why I enjoyed it. That's why I picked it. That's why I went there.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
How many kids from your high school went to Temple? Just out of sheer curiosity.
Not many from my high school, actually. One. My friend Michelle Conboy, also a musician, went to school for music. Lovely, lovely person.
Is she in Philly?
She's not in Philly. She's in Scranton, just got married. She teaches... high school, she's chorus, I think middle school chorus and stuff. She's amazing. Anyway, check her out, Michelle Conboy. But a lot of people from Scranton went there, from Scranton Preparatory School and Abington Heights and a lot of these other schools. So I didn't know, because Scranton's not big, but it's big enough to where anybody from outside the city limits, you didn't get to know that well. But I met a bunch of them at Temple, so.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
And then after that, you went to, where'd you go after that?
After school, after Temple? I took a job, before I graduated senior year, I was offered a job, which at the time, when you're a broke college kid, you kind of look at a job offer at the time like everything, because all you're told for your whole junior year is like, get your resume together and we're going to do interview practices and the job is everything. The job is everything.
Right. Get the 5-figure job, get something that you'll be with for a long time. And
right.
Like all that pressure, right?
Yep. And then you get it, and then you get the offer before you graduate. And so it's not even like a thing of like, is this the best thing for me? I didn't think that way then. It's all I do now. But
so wait, for like 6 months, you were just like, you did it. You got the job, and you didn't have to think about it at all.
Right. And I count my blessings there. It's like anything. You if you're going to be in something, do it right. And so when I was in school and studying business, you study and you do it right, and you use your personality and your whatever to get to know people. And I met some amazing professors and advisors and mentors and blah blah blah. So yeah, I got offered that job, and I just said yes, not really knowing what it meant, to be honest with you. It was in benefits consulting. And I was like, I don't even know what that means. I don't even know what benefits really look like. I'm 18. I'm 21 or 2 at the time. I don't even think about it. So
you just got them. You got these.
You just got them. And now I'm supposed to be consulting people about them.
Oh, man.
And that was more on the communication side and the marketing and the creative side or whatever, which was cool. So yeah, I jumped right into a job at a company called Marsha McLennan in Center City, Philly, at 17th and Arch, and threw on my slacks and my briefcase and like went to work 5 days a week, 9 to 5. For
How long were you there?
I was pushing 2 years when I left.
Wow.
Just one of those things. You just get into it. And I liked it for the first year because it's what it was.
Mm-hmm.
You know.
And then why'd you leave?
It was a combination of a lot of things. It was.
Well, you started playing music hardcore during that time, right?
At first, it was just an apparent. This is not for me. It was.
Mm-hmm.
It was a very apparent looking at somebody who's 40, who was my boss, who was my like mentor, who was supposed to be the guy that I should want to be when I'm 40. If this is the career path, and he made a lot of money and he did a lot of great things. But it was one of these moments of looking at him, and his kids were coming to visit him in the office because he didn't have enough time with them. Oh. And it was like sort of this it was a moment of like real genuine clarity in my life. It was like, oh, this is a perfect snapshot of what I don't want. Mm-hmm. Is to be at a certain age, no matter how successful, if you quantify it in dollars as you might be. I can't do that. I had too good of parents and upbringing to let money or something I don't like get in the way of me having the life I want. So there was that, just general notion of I don't want to do this. I can't. It was great for 2 years, but if I'm doing this for 10, I'm going to look back and just be really, really unhappy.
Like a lot of regret.
Yeah, I'm probably bald and gray and much fatter than I am now.
There's a lot of stress in that. When you chase that money train sometimes and you're not doing what you love, you age quick.
And it was never about money. I've never thought about money as the end-all be-all, but it was a secure job, and I was able to go out on the weekends with my friends and hang out and not think about anything, which at the time was great. And so, yeah, it was that, and then it was being a musician, and I'm putting my hands in quotes. I don't know if you're using the video. I was a musician in the sense of I can go home and play my guitar, which I picked up like senior year of high school. I can go home and play my guitar. I can go home and play piano, but it's just like this extra thing in my life that if I have time, I'll get to. Mm-hmm. So I just started playing like that, and then I just got to a point of the work was suffering too. Like let's not beat around the bush. If you don't like something and you actually physically feel yourself falling asleep at your desk in your cubicle, and like when you're alone in the office, when you come in on a snow day, nobody else is there, you realize you're really putting on a face for these people. When they're all around, I'm on my crap, like on my shit, and I'm like focusing. I'm looking at the computer screen, kind of almost pretending to work hard. Oh, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then nobody was there one snow day. I came in because I lived close, and I looked around. And I ended up reading a book because I couldn't take the work I was doing. It was the perks of I remember it. It was the perks of being a wallflower.
Oh, it's a great book.
Great book.
Mm-hmm.
And I read it. I've read it twice since because it meant a lot. I was reading that book, and it had this emotional impact on me. I was like, why am I sitting here reading this book as I do my work? Not afraid to say that same day I left on a lunch break, went down to a bar in Philly, Macy's Crossing, and just had beers on lunch, and I never went back to the office that day. I went home.
Oh, my God.
I mailed it in. I was like, this is no way. So I went in. I'm sorry, I'm rambling on. But I went in a week later, talked to my, I forget what they called him, but it was like your direct superior is supposed to be, like your buddy. Supervisor. Like your corporate buddy. You know what I mean? To give you advice. And I just told him, I was like, I don't know what an exit plan looks like.
But I need one.
But yeah, it's best for me and it's best for you too. Mm-hmm. And it just worked out. It just worked out to where I was able to go. I was able to get some severance, and yeah, what followed then the next month, literally the next month after that, and 2 months changed everything, really.
Well, hold on. So my favorite story.
I wasn't sure if you want me to go into that, so I stopped there.
I want you to tell me the story. I want it. So real
I stopped there for now.
I want the story. So there's a song you used to play a lot. That's one of my favorites that you didn't record.
Oh, I know where you're going.
It's called "Woman with the Rose."
And
I remember that you were telling me the story of I will not be able to recreate it. How about you tell us the story?
"Woman with the Rose." So that's a song. Let's see. I wrote it about. I drove into work one day, and this was in that sort of 2-month period of my superior knew at my job that I didn't want to be there. Mm-hmm. I was feeling lost. I was feeling confused about what life was going to bring, blah, blah, blah. But I was walking down the street, and I saw this woman, probably looking back, probably in her late 60s, late 60s. White hair, beautiful long white grayish hair down to her hips, wearing a sundress, flip-flops, and just looked free as can be, smiling, and she was humming. Like, I love that, and especially in Philadelphia, you don't get that a lot. People just literally not thinking about what's around them, just being so present and so happy in whatever is going on in her life. She was humming, holding a flower, or literally a rose. So my mind just went to, man, like, what's going on in your day right now, in your life right now, where you are just that happy, and you're 60, let's call her 65 years old, and you're just the happiest person I've ever seen. And I didn't even talk to her. She would just walk past me in like probably a 10-second span from when she was in front of me to when I turned my shoulder to see her. And I wrote a song called Woman with the Rose about what I thought might be going on in her life, and what I thought is like what is making her that happy, and what means the most to her. And what I found through writing the song is I wasn't writing about what I thought she was going through. It was almost writing what I wanted. So it went from writing about this person of what I think she's, when in reality, psychologically, I think I was just purging, and I think I was getting on paper, if I'm 65, what am I going to go home to that will put me in that state of mind? I was like, that's beautiful.
You were reflecting, like...
I was like, boom. I was like, man. I was like, that's what I want. That's what I want. I don't care where I am or where I'm living or what I'm doing. If I can look like that and be in that kind of a mood on a Tuesday at like 9:30 in the morning, I'm good.
In a sense, you've not made it, but like emotionally and spiritually.
Oh yeah, I mean, for all intents and purposes, I mean, there's more to do and there's more of life more to accomplish, but I'm there,
Oh man.
So that's good. That's good to come full circle at this point.
That is one of the most beautiful songs that I think you've ever written. And it's great because at the time when I heard it, I was reflecting on my life, and I mean, at that time I had just met you.
Yeah.
In fact, this is a story I was planning on telling. Is the first time I met you was I was hanging out with Ryan Weidman, who was the lead singer of Sonder. He's still
Sonder.
Around somewhere. That band's not together anymore.
SONNDER. Sonder, yeah.
Yeah, they got some great tunes, great band. They didn't work out, so I think they've all kind of split and they're doing their own thing.
They're great.
But I was hanging out with Ryan just by chance, randomly.
Yeah.
And he said, my buddy John's hosting an open mic at Lickety. And I was like, I don't know who this guy is. So he went to Lickety, split, completely dead.
I always forget it was at Lickety, not... Okay, go ahead.
It was completely dead.
Sorry.
So it was you were hosting. Nobody was there. Me and Ryan Wyman both played tunes. And I had just started writing tunes myself, like singer-songwriter stuff. I had been a drummer for a long time, but I was kind of trying something else. And that's the night I met you, and we bonded over John Mayer. I'm not ashamed to say. I remember that we were talking about...
Don't be. You want to go... I could talk for an hour on just John Mayer and why he's awesome. Go ahead.
This is when people turn off the podcast. They're just
like, we're talking about John Mayer.
We're going to dive into...
Here we go. It wouldn't be what you think.
No, I love him, man. Like, the Continuum album was just like everything. That whole band was great. But I remember we bonded over that. And then we re-met again, because I think we got drunk that night. And then we re-met...
Probably.
At McGillen's. Mm-hmm. Tom knows, like, I have to introduce you to my friend John. And I was like, who? And I was wasted that night for sure. And
Tom, the host?
Tom Minari, the host, I should have said. Yeah, great guy. Who introduced us again.
Yeah.
And then I was like, oh, hey.
Oh, yeah.
And then after that, we were just talking. And then I remember you found out I was a drummer.
Yes.
And then I think it was like a month or a couple weeks later, we did our first Vesper show.
God, did it all happen that fast?
Yeah, it was very fast because I met you, I think, in like the September of that year.
It's so crazy.
And then that December, New Year's Eve, we played a duo set at Vesper. And then we played every weekend at Vesper for like a year and a half.
Yeah.
And that's when we were doing duo stuff.
Because in my mind, it's crazy how the mind puts together time after a lot of time has passed. In my mind, it was like we met and we hung out at McGillen's like every Thursday, like for like a year or two.
It feels like a long time, but it really wasn't.
And then Vesper happened, whatever. But yeah, I feel like we got really close after that. Like, I feel like after McGillen's and just essentially drinking together every week and maybe playing songs, it turned into like sharing a stage together, never rehearsing and just figuring it out. And there's something to be said about that. Like, I vibe with you just as a human-to-human friendship level, and I would, I think, even without music. But there was something about getting it together and kind of working it out on stage in front of a full room of people who were expecting to be entertained.
Entertained,
yeah.
if that's what you call it.
So, yeah.
Hey, John.
We were gladiators, bro.
Fuck you, John.
Yeah.
I love you, buddy.
Yeah.
But we did that.
Can I not get grandiose?
No, you can get grandiose.
Okay.
Go fuck yourself.
Fair enough.
That's my tagline.
Yeah. But go ahead.
Now, when did your producer, Chris Zerzullo,
Oh, boy.
come in the picture?
So yeah. Anyway, so the month after I left my job turned into this month of collecting unemployment and drunkenly stumbling into that open mic where I met you. I just want to tell that real quick.
We were.
I stumbled in there with my friend Marin, who also sang at the time and still does. But
I forgot that she was with you.
I went out for a birthday for my friend Christina's birthday, Christina Seco. And we just like looked up like, where's karaoke? Or where's this? We're drunk and we want to go do something, as you do. And we were at Alves, that Mexican place near McGillen's.
Oh, so good.
And eating churros and having a good time. Spending my unemployment dollars on tequila and churros. Because that's what you do.
This podcast sponsored by...
You don't save money, everybody.
the government.
Yeah. So, right. Thank you. Yeah, I paid into it. Anyway. Stumbled in there and just saw Tom, signed up, and we played like 2 covers of whatever. And from there, that spiraled. But you asked about Chris Zerzullo. In 3 months after I left that job, and I got so heavy into playing music and getting up guts to go try and play my music that I wrote in my kitchen in front of people, I started working at a restaurant in Manayunk, where I met my now girlfriend, who you know, Casey DeGuardia. I think a few months into us hanging out, I went over her house, in effect her stepfather's house, Chris. And she invited me in. I had a drink. I opened the door to use, I think, the restroom. It was in this back room. And past the restroom, I saw this, like, music studio. I saw the sound fitting all over the place. I saw the dual monitors and all the speakers and all the cables and everything else.
At the time, you knew what it was, right?
At the time, I looked at it and I saw the mixing board and I was like, hey now, you know what I mean? And at that time, I hadn't spent much time in the studio. I hadn't spent much time really thinking about recording any music, but it was just like, whoa, okay. And so I met him a few times here and there over the next year or two. Ended up going on vacation with Casey and playing music for these people who I met in a place called Ocracoke, North Carolina, which has special meaning. We'll get there later.
We'll talk about it.
Playing a bunch of songs. And Chris isn't the kind of guy who, just because you happen to know somebody's family, this or that, would just go, hey, let's record some music.
Although that would happen.
That's what he does for a living. So this is stuff that he really, really tries to do, stuff that matters to him and whatever. So he said, hey, man, let's do something. Something at the time meant like recording an acoustic EP or whatever. I don't want to ramble. That's when I met him. That's how he came in my life. And then what that turned into was, oh, these songs are good and let's just do it. And to him, what let's just do it meant is forget about thinking about money, forget about thinking about logistics. Just let's get people in here who we trust and love who can record this music, and let's just do it. Let's just do it. Mm-hmm. So he's been the record that I'm working on currently wouldn't be anything without him. He's been a mentor, he's been a friend, he's been family, he's been a lot to me. He's been a lot to me besides just being, my girlfriend's essentially dad. He's everything. He's a talented dude, he's old school, he played music for years. I can go on for another 2 hours about him. He's
an amazing dude.
Special guy. Mm-hmm. Special guy, yeah, for sure.
Well, I remember...
Sorry.
No, you're good.
I'm a bit sick.
It's all right. We'll get through it.
I got my apple cider, buddy.
It's all right. I'm out of coffee. So what I remember when I went in the first time, when you invited me to go do the tracking,
yeah.
Chris thought it was like, oh, this is just like an acoustic guitar demo thing with some drums. And I remember the first song we did, I'm pretty sure it's Goodbyes in July we did first.
It is. Yeah, it is.
Because I knew that in my head, I thought it was going to be a band record, like at least a light one.
Yeah.
And then Chris thought it was like, it's probably just going to play like a beat, whatever. And if you know... Actually, is that song out yet? Technically?
That one is coming out soon.
Okay, we'll talk about that.
Yeah.
But there's this one song called Goodbyes in July. It's a big opening when we do it live. It's
yeah.
like, da-da-da.
Yeah.
And I remember I did that, and Chris stopped after the first take. I was like, wait.
You could say it.
This is it?
No, he
what
said,
did
"What the fuck was that?" That's
Oh.
what he said.
No, I don't remember
Yeah,
that.
he's like, "What the fuck was that?"
I don't remember that.
He heard me play that on a night we were in a dimly lit room with like 15 people, and it was intimate with the acoustic guitar and me in the room and playing it. I mean, that song it's a heavy song.
Mm-hmm.
The content, the actual lyrics of it are heavy, and it's about a lot of dark times or whatever. But yeah, when we play it live, it's big for impact. But when I play it acoustic, you would never think that you were going to come there and do that.
What the fuck is
I
that?
think that moment might have changed that moment might have like flipped perspective totally for him and changed the direction of the record for good, because he was like, oh.
Well, he thought it was just like an acoustic whatever, and then I guess I hit hard, as many people know. I'm looking at Mark Brown.
True.
And loud. So that definitely changed some things. And then slowly but surely, we did half the drum tracks in like a 3-month period. That's 2015. And then over the next 3 years.
Yeah.
It's 2018 now, right? Yeah. So
Yeah.
3 years you've
Pretty
been
crazy.
recording these tracks.
Yeah, it's weird when you say it like that, because it's been 3 years. But
Well, since the very beginning, but there were definitely breaks in there.
there were breaks for so many reasons, and I don't have to go into all the reasons, but yeah, man, turns out making records is a lot harder than you think if you want to do it. If you want to do it the right way the first time, I feel like I've learned a lot now, and my approach now is much more conducive to just getting stuff done. But then it was just, it's been a special approach to this record. It's really just two guys, the artist and as it were, he's not only the engineer, but he's a producer and the mixer. And thank God we're having somebody else master it who'd be mastering it too.
And on top of that, he's playing piano,
Plus he's
organ,
playing some piano. He's playing some organ. He's playing some percussion and stuff. It's just
That's right.
Chris has, above everything else, he has literally, and I don't mean to say this for any other reason other than it's true. He's literally eaten, slept, and breathed this music. Like, he has his ear pods on at night listening to one of my songs of like, how can I make this better? Come on, I mean, you can't.
That's dedication.
That's real care for the music. And so,
Yeah.
we didn't want to rush things, and money gets in the way, and time, because we both do music essentially for a living. So to do this creative project, we both have to find the time. Me and him just can't spend a week in the studio and say, let's do all this stuff.
No, it's like once a week, get together.
Yeah,
do the
so,
thing.
and I don't regret the process. I'm definitely excited for it all to be done, and we're so close. But,
Why is that?
but yeah,
Isn't this the greatest?
it is. It is. It's a dream.
Oh man,
Yeah.
that's funny.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, but you've been working on these tunes for
Yeah.
3 years.
I
I'd
just-
be like,
I just
this
want-
is great.
Yeah, I just want to write and sing songs. That's all I want to do.
Let's keep creating.
Yeah.
You know. But speaking of which, the album, the first half of the album,
Yeah.
is out.
Yeah.
It's called Paved Roads: The First Steps.
Yeah.
Right. Mm-hmm. And where can they find that now?
Everywhere music is, quote, sold. I've really been telling people that it's streaming for free because I don't want people to buy this first half. I really don't, and I mean that. I really don't want people's money for this first half of the record. I had
I don't know if you want to put that on the podcast.
I had a release show. Well, I don't know. I just wanted to put music in people's ears after all this time, and I had this release show at Milk Boy in Philadelphia, and everybody who's ever supported me and all my friends showed up, and it was a great time. I wanted to let people hear, the result of this work we put in, and the result of that. The Indiegogo campaign that helped me finish the record, like, people contributed to that. And so I want to let people know that their support went somewhere. So yeah, it's called Paved Roads: The First Steps. It is the first half of the record, essentially. It's there's 5 songs that I think can give people a real idea of the scope of the record. Paved Roads, one song on it is vastly different from Poison, another song on it. They're almost sounds like 2 different vibes completely, but it gives people an idea of
But it flows.
what the record looks like as a full work. Yeah.
Right, but
Yeah.
it flows.
Yeah.
Like, and actually,
So yeah, you can stream it on Spotify and find it everywhere.
yeah.
YouTube.
I was
and
surprised
YouTube
you
and
didn't
all
put
that.
it on like Bandcamp or anything.
Yeah, I'm.
Are you waiting for the full record?
No, you'll learn that I might. The thing on a podcast to say would be like, yeah, I'm waiting for the full record. But the honest answer is, I'm not good at it. I'm not good at that stuff. Yes.
Okay. I was just curious.
No, I like talking about it because I'm just not. I'm just not good at that half of it. It's like, where should this stuff be, and how should I put it out, and who should I be writing to, and how should I make this release stuff work? I just don't know. You know what I mean? I didn't have a Bandcamp account until, like, I don't know, when I woke up this morning, basically. You know what I mean?
Well, no, you put the Paved Roads single out
On
there.
SoundCloud, yeah.
That was right when you did the the Indiegogo videos with Skylar.
Yeah.
Skylar Jenkins is a great videographer in Philly. He does some great videos. He did your Indiegogo campaign, right?
Yeah, he did. He did the video for it.
He did a really great job.
He did,
I think.
yeah.
And then he's doing your cover, if I'm not mistaken.
He's doing. He does all my photography. He's involved in some video projects I have coming up. He does any photography, any artwork that I do. He's pretty directly involved. He's been a great
Speaking of him,
great friend and great asset. Yeah.
Yeah. He did a recent project where he went on the road with, was it 5 other artists?
It was him. It was supposed to be 5 other. It was supposed to be him and 5 other musicians. One musician couldn't come, so it ended up being him, Skylar, and 4 Philly artists, musicians.
So it was
me.
You.
Yeah.
It was Rachel Andy.
Rachel Andy of
Right.
Rachel Andy and the V Element. Yeah.
Right. And then it was Brendan Johnson of Stella Ruse.
Stella Ruse. Yeah.
And then Pete Hill. I don't know him.
Pete Hill. I didn't know him either until this. He was the one I had met Rachel and knew of Rachel and heard her music and met her a few times. Brendan, I've been able to play with him, do duet sets with him, play my band with his band, those type shows. But Pete Hill I never met, and I honestly not really heard a lot of his music. And we were able to kind of bond over that, like, hey, this is the first time you're hearing my music, first time I'm hearing yours. He's great. He's really fantastic. He has this very modern Neil Young type vibe. It's really amazing. Like his song structures are that way. His voice kind of comes across that way. He's a really really amazing songwriter. I learned a lot from him in the time I've known him, which is only about a month now.
Yeah, but you guys went out for a week down to Asheville, if I'm not mistaken, right?
We went to Asheville. So the name of the project was The Escape Artists, is what Skylar is now calling it. So it's going to be a docuseries of basically creative people in an RV going to whatever destination and seeing what happens along the way. There was no expectations. There wasn't a structure. There wasn't a schedule. It was, we know where we're going to end up, and we know we're turning around there and come back to Philly, and that was it. And then what happened from there was sort of just not planned and organic and beautiful.
Right, those videos that you guys have posted. They've posted a few videos. By the time this podcast's out, there's probably going to be 1 or 2 more.
Yeah.
But there's a video of them singing your song, These Waters, which we're going to talk to, but it's beautiful. I think it's just acoustic guitar, you singing the lead vocal, and you're on like a beach, and everyone's singing the background vocals, right?
Yeah, Rachel plays like a little guitar over it. And again, we didn't rehearse anything. We're just like, hey, here's the chorus, and go. Go. So it's kind of cool to see in that video. Early in the song, they're kind of like very in the background, but then by the end of it, the harmonies come in because they get it. You know what I mean? It was really neat. Yeah, that was at Crater Lake in Virginia.
How many takes was that?
Oh, 1 take. All of them were.
It was all 1 take. You didn't do multiple takes.
No. Nothing about that trip was rehearsed. Literally, it was just like, oh, shoot this, and if we get it, we get it. And I'm been amazed at the stuff I've seen so far.
That's amazing. For people at home, that's like pretty unheard of. No rehearsing.
Yeah.
No just hashing things out arrangement-wise, just doing it. That's really unheard of. But the other thing that's amazing... Yeah. Sorry, you go ahead.
Oh, no. I was going to say there's something beautiful about that. I mean, it's something I've let go of is perfection or structure, obsessing over structure. Just do things and just open up and just be creative. And I think you end up being happier, and I think you get better results. Yeah.
That's amazing. But and then there's a few more videos. There's Rachel Andy's song came out, right? And I think Pete Hill's song came out, if I'm not mistaken.
Rachel's song Horizon, I don't believe is out yet. She has a record that's being released, I think, beginning of December, like the 1st, and she has a release show on the 28th. And
the album's being released on the 1st?
Before the show, and she mentioned early in December. I don't want to put a date out there for people to hear, but early in December, so look out for that.
Okay.
And then Pete Hill's song Fool's Gold, I've literally been singing that song every day since I've sang it with him.
Is it on Spotify?
You can find Pete Hill on Spotify. You can find that song. Yeah, you can find it all.
Well, the reason why I ask is, for this podcast, what I meant to tell people earlier is that every song that we mention in the podcast will be on a playlist.
Cool.
On the Hambone Relay playlist. It'll be attached to whatever the show is, and then I'll have all the songs we've talked about if it's on there.
Perfect.
And then you can just, as we're going along, you want to pause and listen to whatever song we're talking about. So Pete Hill's song will be on the Spotify.
Yeah.
Go to Hambone Relay's We're talking about all the social medias today. Spotify page, and we'll have everything listed there for you. Just go to the show listed, John Gilbride.
Cool.
Check this out, featuring John Gilbride.
Yeah. So yeah.
And that'll be there. But back to your tune.
Yeah.
It's one of my new favorite songs. It's called These Waters. Right?
Yeah.
And I loved it the first time I heard it. It had a different title in my head.
Right.
But I love this song. So after we'd done our first batch of songs in 2015, I was kind of on a hiatus doing the drum parts. And then after maybe 2 years, you, me, and our friend Coop got together and started rehearsing your new stuff and hashing it out. And before we knew it, within 2 or 3 months, we had 4 more new tunes.
Yeah, ready to go.
Right? 4?
Yeah, the great Eric Cooper.
Great Eric Cooper. Go say hi. Hey, Eric. But then we hashed out this song, and it's beautiful. I was wondering if we could do like a lyric dive. Maybe we can kind of talk about like what kind of goes into like writing a song like this, because it's so emotional. There's so much here that when you're just listening to it, you don't think about it. But
yeah, sure. Yeah, that's no problem.
The first line is like, "Baby, come back to me. My mother came into my deepest sleep." Is that true? Like something happened in your relationship, and then you had a dream.
Yeah.
Your mom came back and like said something.
Yeah, for sure. It's all these songs, and the reason I have so much angst about these songs, and I want them to be right, is like they're all just true. Like it's basically a diary. I mean, there's nothing in this. There's nothing really there's metaphor in my songs, sure, but if you just read the lyrics, I mean, it's pretty much all real stuff. And that one specifically, I was going through a hard time personally. I was battling some things that I never really had to battle with growing up. Depression, for one. No shame in saying that. We all go through it.
No, I've gone
depression. A little bit of stuff with alcohol and my vices and decisions I was making that were just they weren't healthy, and I was going through some relationship problems. I was just not myself, essentially.
But you say it perfectly in the first 4 lines. It's just like your mom came back to you in this dream, said you've been in a bad way these days, lost in the middle of who I was and who I'm meant to be. There's so much there in just that little.
I wrote that in Ocracoke summer before, a year passed from this summer. So summer 2017 I just wrote that verse line. That's all I had was the melody in that verse line, and it was just true. It was my mom came back to me, but more like my mom came back to me, but like my upbringing came back of like, this isn't how I was raised. I can get through this stuff, and I'm a better person than how I've been acting. And it's about kind of revisiting your past and your upbringing to sort of get through something you're going through now. So I was able to say, this is something you're going through, but there's no reason you can't go back to who you're meant to be and beat who you are right now. Yeah.
And she continues in your dream, the second verse, the drinking too much, don't see your dad enough. Yeah. And it's great when you get to that chorus, and then you're dreaming forward, and you're thinking about, where do I need to be? Yeah. What do I want to? Yeah. Where do I see myself? And not begging, but the first line is, "Let me back in your waters, babe," which is just like, let me back into your life and we can hash this out, right? Like, is that kind of
essentially, yeah. So these waters part of it, it means everything metaphorically, obviously. Like, let me back in your waters, let me back into your world, let me swim in your waters. Let's really dive back in. Let's connect again and figure out what's going on in my life that I can do better, and is this what we want? And like, let's just grow and get back to how we started. And waters is also like this, I mentioned Ocracoke a few times, and being in that special place, which means a lot to me, and all the people closest to me in my life. And it was just a matter of let's just not start over. I feel like that's a little cliche, but just like let's be real about what I'm going through, and just let me back in, and let's work it out, essentially. And how can I heal things if I can just get back to being myself again,
I also had a question, was that this whole song is a conversation with your partner, in a sense. You're talking to her about your dream, and then like, let me back in, and then at the third verse, you're talking to yourself and to her at the same time. At least it seems to me.
Third, yeah.
Which is took a drive to my hometown, cut the grass, and walked around. You kind of dream, going back to it and seeing yourself back at home. Like, what was I like before all these problems? Yeah. And I think that's great.
Yeah, and again, that's one of those things that it worked out. Like taking a drive to my hometown is I did that in my head, but I also at that time I was doing it for real. I was going home to see my dad a lot of weekends, and so that helped. It helped to just reconnect with my family. There was a lot of stuff going on with my family at the time, so I was going home a lot.
That's right.
But it really helped. It was just like, oh yeah, this is where I come from. Like this is how I was, born and raised. And the stuff about the next line is like, I asked my neighbor, what can you remember about me being how I was when I was 16? And it was just, essentially what a memory of me at 16 looked like. It was my mom was alive and holding hands, and she's singing, I think it's Here Comes the Sun in my song, and whatever. It's just all these visceral, real memories that bring you back to how good things could be, and
Yeah, and I think people connect with that. When you say like a genuine lyric, people can almost tell it's genuine.
Yeah.
Over a recording.
Yeah.
And that might be a little too hoity-toity spiritual, but I definitely feel it. Like when somebody sings something that definitely happened, somebody can tell the difference.
Yeah. And songs can mean, you can interpret.
Right.
I like when you can listen or read lyrics to a song and feel something, and it could be totally different from what the artist might have been doing or feeling. Like, totally different. But as long as you feel something.
As long as you tell the story with genuine feeling,
Yeah.
and usually that's from experience.
Yeah.
I find that you definitely feel emotion towards that. And then the bridge is just like, we got so much left to do.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's great. It's almost like it could be its own chorus.
Yeah.
To be 100% honest.
Yeah.
If you want to check that song out, it's on his Spotify, John Gilbride's Spotify. It's also on the list I mentioned before. It's a great tune. I truly love it. And if you listen to it, the title I thought it was going to be was Asheville, Nashville, just because it's like my favorite part of
the the lyric is Asheville, Nashville, westward bound, and,
Yeah.
and that's a real text that I sent. That's from an actual text.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, so like driving while across Chesapeake Bay has meant everything to me for the past 5 summers. And the text Asheville, Nashville, westward bound was just something I sent, trying to convey like there's a lot more for us to see and a lot more for us to do and a lot of progress left to be made and a lot of happiness yet to be found, and it just was represented in this little text about literally going at places. So the chorus, you listen to that chorus, you would imagine the song was about Asheville or Nashville, and it really has nothing to do with either city at all, really.
I mean, it's just a great rhyme, and
Yeah.
I mean, now that you've actually been to Asheville,
Yeah, it helps.
it's cool. All right, this takes us to our next segment. Dun, dun, dun.
You have segments?
Yeah, I do. I got these segments, man. It's called the Music News. Insert music, whatever we come up with right here.
You're unbelievable, man. It's a
Thank
pilot
you.
episode, and you have it rocking.
Thank you, bro.
It's amazing.
Hopefully the next one's just as good. All right, so here's the music news. And
Better get a really good guess.
all right, so you are one of my favorites. Let's start with a downer and then work our way up.
Uh-oh.
All right, you remember Mac Miller?
Yes.
Yeah, he passed away not too long ago, and they never they didn't talk about how he died. They just said he was found in his apartment.
Right.
They announced a couple weeks ago that he passed away accidentally, or at least that's what this article is saying. It says that
drug overdose, right?
via NPR, it says it was an accidental overdose involving opioid fentanyl.
Fentanyl, yeah.
That list also includes Prince, Tom Petty,
Yep.
Little Peep, and former Wilco member Jay Bennett.
Yeah.
I don't know too much about Wilco. Do you?
I love Wilco.
Oh, how do you say his name?
I don't know his... wait.
Jay Bennett or Benet?
I think it's Bennett.
Okay.
Yeah. Anyway, I can talk about Wilco another
Well,
time.
anyway, Mac Miller,
Continue.
born January 19th, 1992. Wow, one day after me. 2 years and 1 day after me.
It's pretty unbelievable.
Was found unresponsive in his home located in the 11600 block of Studio City. Authorities recalled McCormick was pronounced dead at the scene at 11:51 a.m. It was later determined McCormick died from mixed drug toxicity, which was a mix of fentanyl, cocaine, and ethanol.
Yeah.
And it's kind of serious. It's this drug epidemic, especially in the music business. I find, all entertainment everything. It's hard to talk about, but when you're in this business and it's everything kind of your ego is so attached to things. Sometimes you reach out for anything that'll give you comfort.
Yeah, I mean, my experience is so micro compared to Mac Miller. Wow.
I know.
I'm not going to say the pun of the century and call it Macro Miller.
Oh, no.
Right? See, I'm going to edit that out.
What a dick.
It's just things happen organically sometimes. But I'm saying, like, my experience is so micro compared to his macro and, like, the Heath Ledgers of the world and even, Philip Seymour Hoffman, all these people that die of these kind of things. And it's just like...
Was he heroin?
So, I don't know. I don't want to speak out of school. But what I'm trying to... the point is... we were talking about my song earlier and some vices that I overcame in alcohol. A lot of that was born of being in environments where you're the entertainment, you're playing music, you're out at the clubs, you're there from 8 o'clock to set up till 3 a.m. sometimes, and it's just this world of revolving around substance and
like the party atmosphere.
Well, party atmosphere, yeah, and stimulants. You know what I mean?
That's a good way to put it.
I don't know about you. I've partaken in a certain amount of these things, but I've also just been offered and turned down certain things. But in a world, in a level of fame and money and success that these people achieve, it's just no wonder. And when you're young and you hear about these things, like the 27 Club and all these people dying, it's not until you turn 27, which I did 3 years ago, that you go, oh, I still feel like a kid in a lot of ways. And
can you imagine?
You're just a kid going through this. Amy Winehouse, terrible. Set up by her surroundings and her partner and her father for failure, for death, essentially.
You've seen the documentary?
In my opinion. I've seen the documentary and I've read a lot about it. I love Amy Winehouse. As a talent, as a person, I thought she was special. But she just wasn't set up for success. And I think that's a big part of this is there's a stigma around a lot of these drugs. And there's a stigma around a lot of these mental health issues. It's something I'm passionate about because I've known too many people in my life who, if addressed earlier, would not have a lot of these problems. It's just like there's such a stigma, whereas when people reach out for help, in Amy Winehouse's case, it was like, oh, you're fine. Like that kind of mentality. Where even if it's not therapy, it's just somebody who says, I get it, let me help you. You
need a confidant in, I'm not in AA, but like a sponsor or someone to talk to about these sort of things. And I've done therapy. I just did a long post on one of my socials about how I was very depressed and I was definitely over drinking and it was a problem. And I couldn't admit it to myself. Right. Because, there's just free booze everywhere. Right. I wasn't partaking in the hard drugs, like fentanyl or any other stuff. But it becomes a problem when you get depressed in this industry because everything's available. Yeah. I played a show not too long ago, and I was just offered straight up. They didn't even know that I was in the band. They were just offering me Coke and blow and heroin. Seriously, this was down south somewhere. I never told anybody, but it was crazy. That's just the atmosphere sometimes in these venues and this atmosphere. And it's hard because we're a little older than Mac Miller. I'm 2 years older. Yeah. You're 3, 4 years older?
Yeah. And what do you do? It's not, when it happens to celebrities, it's sad but true that you just kind of go, oh yeah, okay. It shouldn't be that way. It should be why. This happens every day to thousands of people every day around this country are affected by something like this. Obviously, when it happens to the bigger names, we kind of run to the internet to find out more and do our research. But I mean, this is happening to brothers and sons and daughters and
people in our community. It's really hard.
People in our community, and a lot of them you don't even know it. Mm-hmm. You don't even know it
because they're just masking pain that they feel, but they don't.
There just needs to be resources. There needs to be as many resources for people who need mental health treatment for a lot of reasons as there are for people going through alcohol addiction and stuff like that. You know what I mean?
Speaking of which, if you're listening to this podcast and you really want to get help, there are a lot of numbers. Yeah. I'll maybe post on the YouTube link if you post the video. Sure. Reach out. There are cheap therapy options. Yeah. I went to this place. I will give them a shout out because they helped me so much. Counsel for Relationships. They're in Philly. They're amazing. Basically, the reason why it's cheap is the students getting their hours before they become official. But I loved it. The young woman that helped me through some things was amazing. And I didn't have to do any drugs or anything. Just talking it out really helps. And people like Mac Miller probably need something like that with the whole Ariana Grande thing and, yeah, everything else. Battles with depression and the music industry. It's bananas. You should live long.
Yeah.
Like long, healthy lives like this next person we're going to talk about. But
Yeah, it's something, it's important to me. I mean, obviously it's important to me.
yeah, you want to live.
Yeah, the music industry doesn't have to mean that you're partying all the time. It doesn't.
Right.
What I want to do is just, I'm going to write songs and share them.
Yeah.
You know, that's really all I want to do. But yeah, I've long talked about mental health and the implications it has on family and friends and everything else, because there's just way too much of a stigma around it. And I've seen too many friends and too many people deal with issues by themselves when if they just had a little bit of help, could have, had a better end result, as it were, without going into too much of that.
Which brings me to this next topic, which is Aretha Franklin.
Oh,
We're not going to talk about how she died or how old she was, but she did pass away. But recently, there's been a development.
tell me.
Back in the light of day, or not, excuse me, there was a story documentary that people never thought they would see. It was a documentary called Amazing Grace, which is all about Aretha Franklin. It was directed by Sidney Pollack and completed by Alan Elliott. The film has been talked about since it was filmed in a Watts, California church in 1972 during recording sessions for a live album of the same name. Now, 46 years after it was shot, the Amazing Grace movie was finally shown in public for the first time recently, with initial screenings in New York City, more nationwide. And it talks about the document of iconic musician's skills. The film is essential, but Amazing Grace is far more than that. Watching is a transcendent, spine-tingling, uplifting, utterly joyous experience. I need to check this film out. It sounds awesome.
Oh, so you haven't seen it?
I haven't seen it yet. I just
Okay.
wanted to talk about it.
Well, then I don't feel weird
saying
having
like
not
you didn't
seen
see it.
Yeah.
But what I was going to ask was, did you know a lot of Aretha Franklin's music at all?
It's so interesting. I put her up there with, and you might not like this.
Actually, hold on. Mark, can you look up what tunes were on that recording session for me? I'm just curious what songs were on that album. But what were you saying? I'm sorry.
Are we good? We're still
Yeah.
rolling?
Yeah.
Aretha Franklin, what was it called again? Sorry.
The Amazing Grace.
Yeah. Aretha Franklin, I put up there in some senses with the Bruce Springsteens in the world. In my musical world of like people who I should know more about and I listen to more, but I haven't. There's a lot of Bruce Springsteen songs later in life that I've listened to, and now I get it. But the Aretha Franklin, it's funny you brought her up because with all that in the news and with the movie and everything else and her passing away, it just made me go, oh wait, let me do a deep dive on what she really was. And she wasn't. When I think of Aretha Franklin, I think of those diva specials when Mariah Carey's on her right and Celine Dion's on her left, and they're singing, whatever they're singing. My heart will go on. It's like,
That's the quote. That's the quote from the podcast. That's it.
Man, it's just like, that's what I thought of. It was just this very snapshotty Aretha Franklin, big lady singing a big song. When in reality, her struggle in her childhood and then her upbringing and then she was a childhood prodigy just on the piano, let alone the fact that she turned into the quintessential who you think of as like the female vocalist.
I'm sorry, you're saying she's a prodigy at piano?
She's a piano, she's
I didn't know that.
Oh yeah, and so then I started going on YouTube and just looking up Aretha Franklin singing, playing piano.
Oh, like the Carole King thing that you did?
That to me was just like so much more impressive just because it was different. I've seen her stand there and sing, and it's unbelievable. It's superhuman.
Yeah.
Like
That voice.
There's a lot of different vocalists. There's a lot of different type of female vocalists that I like, and different. There's the jazz people. There's the folky, sort of almost cute. There's whatever. But she just had the voice. Like if there's a the voice you think of as a female vocalist, singer, badass, it's Aretha Franklin. You know, and I don't think I ever appreciated it more than the past probably 2-3 years as I started listening to more and more different kinds of
You
music.
hear about her struggle, her health struggles, and then you just started listening to it more and more like, oh wow, she might go, and then she did, and then her music was everywhere. I remember 88.5 WXPN, which is Philly's local radio station. Shout out XPN and shout out to the Free at Noon Cats and shout out to World Cafe Live.
Yeah.
They played Aretha Franklin all day.
Yeah.
It was amazing. I was driving around the city just listening to all these tunes I never even heard
I was
of.
going to say there's so much more there than you would ever.
There's a huge catalog. Forget R-E-S-P-E-C-T. There's like this one song, I cannot remember the name of it, but I played it on repeat for like an hour.
Yeah.
It was amazing.
Dude, Rock Steady, you know that tune?
Rocksteady's on that?
No, it's not on that.
Oh.
I'm saying that's like one of her best songs.
No, it's a great song.
Oh my God.
And those are the kind of
that
songs
might have
I'm
been
talking
it.
about.
Here's the track listing for Amazing Grace.
Is it all gospel
It's all
tunes?
gospel tunes. Mary, Don't You Weep, Precious Lord, Take My Hand, Old Landmark, Amazing Grace, of course, Precious Memories.
I'm going to tag that. Amazing Grace is going to be in the
It's
Spotify.
It's a killing album. I have it on vinyl, actually. It's a killing record, man.
Mark's a part hipster. He has some vinyl.
That's right. I have skinny jeans and vinyl. So
I'm just kidding. I don't hate on vinyl. I want to start a vinyl collection. So you got a couple, John, right? Mm-hmm. You have a player?
I have a record player. I need to get fixed. It's one of those things I put off for like a couple months now. But
It's okay. It's
I
time.
love vinyls. I love records. I was just home over Thanksgiving, and my cousin Bridget has this vast record collection. She had this couple Moody Blues records on vinyl that I almost stole, but I didn't.
Hope you're. Was it your cousin you said?
Yeah.
Hope she doesn't listen to this. In other news, Hanson. Remember Hanson?
Do I remember Hanson?
Mbop. Bop, bop.
Great song, by the way. I don't care.
Phenomenal. They can, they probably hate it by now. And
Well, they hate it, but they still play it live acoustic a lot.
right. They have a brewing company too that's pretty good. It's called Hops.
Oh, come on.
Swear to God, that's what it's called.
Come on.
But the reason why I bring them up,
That's on the nose, man. That's crazy.
it is on the nose.
They don't hate that song. They know what they're doing. They're
Their
back
business
up,
probably.
back up the Brinks truck and just unload
Just dump all the money.
all the cash into our pocket. We're gonna open. Oh my God!
Okay, so here's why I bring it up.
Drunk 45-year-olds in the garage are having success in the craft beer world, and Hanson's gonna come in and be like, "Yo, hops," and now they're gonna take over.
And if Hanson is listening, we're looking for some sponsors.
Right.
So.
I'm not hating. This is me just like talking out loud or whatever.
Oh my
but,
God,
like,
it's just on the nose. We love it. That's all we're saying.
hops. Okay. Where is this?
I don't remember where it is.
Come on.
Mark.
Hold on. Sorry.
Sorry, our producer's in training.
It's in Tulsa, Oklahoma.
We're all in training.
Tulsa,
This is-
Oklahoma?
Yeah, it says based in Tulsa. Yep.
Ah.
Founded by the three brothers of Hanson.
All right, new tour.
All
We're
right.
coming to Tulsa.
Are they from Oklahoma? Is that the deal? I don't know.
Can we?
So here's absolutely.
Hambone Relay,
the
John
only thing
Gilbride, come to Tulsa to play hops.
Hops. If they got a stage, we're there.
If
All
anybody,
right.
if anybody can book that, it's Mark.
Yeah, Mark is a great booker.
Well, Mark will book the place across the street, and then we'll figure it out.
Yeah. We'll just drink their beer.
That
Yeah.
sounds good. The reason why I bring up Hanson is because they are collaborating.
Hops?
No, that's just a side note.
Wow.
This article here, Hanson's still pinching themselves over Beach Boys collaboration.
Oh, come on.
I don't know if you've heard it. This is like an old article, but I just wanted to bring it up because it's Christmas time. They got to do a track with Mike Love of the Beach Boys. And what's funny about it is they learned how to harmonize from the Beach Boys when they were kids, so that it kind of came full
this is
circle.
early.
This is actually from last year, but they're talking about revamping it.
I don't doubt that, man. You can hear that.
And this article says the Beach Boys were the first concert that they went to. And
Dude,
can you imagine that?
Of it, you listen to Hanson sing, and you almost don't think about the harmonies because it is so perfect. They're so just like singing the song together, and that's kind of what the Beach Boys are. Mm-hmm. Have you heard that Beach Boys record they put out? It's not necessarily a record. They put out these tapes of like California Girls and stuff like that, of just like them
demos?
Like them working through the song. It's like studio session tapes. It's awesome. It's on Spotify.
Mark, there's your other homework. You
Dude,
got three things you're looking up now.
It's on it's on Spotify. It's literally California Girls for an example. Is they're just in the studio going through the song and and they're just yelling at you like, "Oh, stop!" and this and that, and going through the harmonies and like fix
Really?
this and fix that, and it's really cool. But it's enough for the song if you're driving in your car, you can enjoy it and sing along. But every now and then they just stop and talk about stuff and then go back. It's cool.
Oh, that'd be so cool.
I
Because
don't
then
know
you
what
could
it's called.
dissect.
Mark can look up what it's called, but I
You
don't
can dissect the tunes and like see how they did the harmonies. Oh my god, I'm gonna do
know.
that later.
It's pretty awesome.
Because mind you, some of their songs are a little cheesy, but their arrangements are top notch. What's the cat's name that or did all the arranging? Brian
Wilson.
Brian Wilson. Oh my god, that dude's a genius. Anyway, I just thought I'd bring that up. Go check out that song.
Yeah, it's really cool.
So this is weird. There are a ton of live Beach Boy bootlegs on Spotify too. What's up
Really?
with that? Yeah, like it's like looking at the Grateful Dead page.
Yeah.
Oh, we're gonna okay.
It's
Yeah,
like the
tons
Beach
of- yeah.
Boys live in San Diego, '67.
That's
Nice.
amazing. All right, now on to the next segment. It's called Whip It Out. Whip It Out. That's
Right
right. So this is what this segment is. What we're going to do is John's going to get up his phone. He's going to go up to his Spotify, and he's going to tell us the last 5 things that he listened to.
Wow.
And we're going to talk about it real quick.
I wasn't ready
I'll
for
tell you
that.
mine real quick because I wrote them down because I want to focus more on John. But my last 5
the
things.
last 5 things I played. So how
How
would I do that?
So you go to your library, and it's usually right underneath that. It should say, like, you'll have a playlist.
Oh, recently played.
Yeah, so here, I'll tell you mine real quick, just so I get it out of the way. I listened to the whole Unplugged Eric Clapton album, which me and Mark
man.
Brown adore.
Been a long time.
One of the best records ever, man. I love that album.
It is so good. The Lake Street Dive album called Freak Yourself Out. It's an EP. It's 5 songs. It's brand new. They put it out as a record store, not record store day, a special last Friday when we're doing this podcast, and it's amazing. It's all songs they hadn't finished for their last record, and they just put it out as a little EP. It sounds awesome. Mark, you'll enjoy
Yes.
this. Amy Helm and the Wood Brothers,
Dude, awesome.
they collaborated on a Christmas song. It's the band's Christmas song, Christmas Must Be Tonight.
Oh, no way, dude.
Yeah, dude, you got to check it out. It's really good.
Love that song.
You opened for Amy Helm.
I did with the Nate Gross Band in Hamilton, New York. At Good Nature Brewing Company.
That's amazing.
She
And you
was
got to
great.
hang with her,
yeah,
too,
we
right?
got to hang with her. She was awesome. She was super humble, very nice. She came right out. She was talking to people. It was great. Cool. And her band they were killer.
And then you have a student that's like the tour manager for the Wood Brothers, too, right?
A former student of mine when I lived in Lancaster, Dan Ramirez, he's now the tour manager with the Wood Brothers.
So you're totally connected to this student. You could
totally.
say that you're in the middle of all this.
I mean, that was like 15 years ago. He probably doesn't even remember me. But.
Probably not. Okay, this wasn't on my Spotify, but I thought I should talk about it because I loved it so much, and I didn't think I would. Ella May, who's an R&B artist.
Dude, are you about to say the song I Think You Are?
Boot Up.
Oh, no, different one.
And there's another song that's on the top 40.
That's the one I can't stop singing.
What it's still?
Trip.
Trip. That's
Yeah.
it. She's amazing, and she was on SNL.
I'm so glad you think so because, like, yeah, we'll go into that in a second. but
She
go
was
ahead.
amazing.
Yeah.
Oh my god! And the band, apparently, a friend of mine knows the bass player. He's nuts. The drummer, I don't remember his name offhand. You don't have to look that up, Mark. But if you get a minute, go to YouTube, check out her SNL performance. It is off the chain. Is the only way I can put it. It's amazing. And then the last tune that I'm going to put up because they're about to go on tour with the Motet is Galactic. And I was listening to the tune Into the Deep featuring Macy Gray. Definitely check that out. That's one of their top tunes on Spotify. Go check that out. Or buy any of these records. The only reason I say Spotify is because that's where our list is going to be of all the tunes we mentioned in this podcast. John, take it away. Whip it out. What are your top 5, well, not top 5, the last 5 tunes that you listened to?
This is so interesting. So I went to my recently played, a bunch of playlists, but wow, it's gonna be for an interesting conversation here, buddy.
Give me some eclectic stuff.
So the first song it's called "New Birth in New England" by Phosphorescent. I had never heard this song, and I was driving. This was actually in the RV, and this song just came on as the sun came up over the mountains of the Blue Ridge Mountains in Tennessee. We're just driving, and then this song came on, and it was this sort of happy uplifting sort of a little bit synthesized like island music type steel drum beautiful song, and it's by Phosphorescent, and the chorus is "Don't I Know Ya." That's what I thought the song was called, and it's an amazing song. It's off the album called C'est la Vie, which I listened to this song and thought everything was going to be happy, like island type music, and then I went to the rest of the record and it was quite the contrary.
It's dark, wasn't it?
Quite the contrary. It was great. I don't know. I don't have much else to say about it because I didn't really do much research on the artist, but he has a very unassuming voice. It's very relaxed. The whole arc of the album is really interesting. That's all I'll really say. Go listen to it because that tune, "New Birth in New England," is the first tune on the record, and then
that's
from
the
there,
opener.
So that's that one.
Okay, what else you got?
Let's see.
Give it to me. Whatever. It's funny.
"Very Merry Christmas," an album by Dave Barnes, actually.
Who's Dave Barnes?
Yeah. So my good friend Seth Aaron, who we both know, came over to my house, and I was like, I got to learn all these Christmas songs for some of these Christmas performances I'm doing. And he said, "Oh, dude, you ever hear Dave Barnes?" And he has this record called "Very Merry Christmas," and I got to tell you, it put me in the mood. I swear to God. I put up Christmas lights that day. I made some eggnog. You know what I'm saying?
Is it a Christmas acoustic guy or like?
It's kind of jazzy. He does some
jazzy.
covers, but he has a couple of originals on there.
He's a Grammy-nominated songwriter from Nashville.
There you go.
Actually.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Right on.
It was just really
This
great.
is why this podcast
Yeah.
needs to be a thing because I just learned at least four different new artists.
You need new stuff when it comes to Christmas. If people say they hate Christmas music, it's like, no, you hate those tired, boring...
Mariah Carey.
Mariah Carey. Yes. All of that.
Which, by the way, she's number 29 on the top 40 right now.
And they just put that in.
It got relisted.
Oh.
It's ugh. I love you, Mariah, but come on. Number 3, what do you got?
Number 3, I have, Michael Jackson, PYT.
Nice.
Yeah. Love that song.
Oh, I love that song.
That song never stops being amazing.
Which album is that off of?
I want to love you.
It's not Off the Wall, is it?
What's that?
It's got to be what's the third of the Quincy Jones records? It's off the third one, I thought, right?
Are you asking? Oh,
I'm
PYT?
asking- yeah, PYT is off of
Thriller.
Is it off Thriller?
Yeah. Another reason Thriller is one of the quintessential albums of our time.
By the way, check out the Quincy Jones documentary
Oh,
on Netflix. It's done by his daughter.
yeah.
Quincy Jones was Michael Jackson's producer for 3 records, I believe. Off the Wall, Thriller, and I'm blanking on the third one. When someone says it, I'm just going to slap myself. It's awesome. And the Rashida Jones, who was one of the actresses on The Office, is the director. That's Quincy Jones' daughter. And she's very well-spoken. She's great. What's number 4?
John Mayer, Born and Raised.
Classic.
Yeah. It's funny because we were just talking about, we hinted at John Mayer.
Bonding over John Mayer.
Yeah. I love that record. I love the Born and Raised record. It's one that isn't acclaimed, that isn't really well received by a lot of the community people I surround myself around. Continuum was obviously great. It's the record that won him his awards and everything else, but Born and Raised, I feel like that record came out in like the late 60s, first half of the 70s. In my opinion, it would go down as like one of the better folk records ever written. Like, it's just beautifully written.
Oh, it's great.
It's beautifully written. I mean,
was that the record that he put out before Paradise Valley?
Yeah.
Because that's the one he put out, and then he was about to tour, and then he got told about the vocal problems again.
Yeah, he wrote Born and Raised pretty much when he couldn't talk and stuff like that. So it just the lyrics are just beautiful. I mean, say what you will about John Mayer, whatever, but that record front to back is like
amazing.
A lot of what I want to do in music. It's just like pretty simple.
And that's the one with Crosby and Nash, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Doing background vocals.
Yeah, pretty amazing. It's
beautiful.
Born and Raised is a great song. Walt Grace's last submarine ride.
That's John Mayer, one of his favorite tunes he ever wrote.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
It's just so good. Anyway, we don't have to go off on it.
What are we, number 4? Is that 4?
That was 4.
Okay, what's 5? What do you got?
What was it? Dr. Dog, These Days.
Is that their tune or is that a cover?
That's their tune. It has one of my favorite lines in any song.
What's that?
Casey will hate me if I get this wrong. I hate when people say those were the days. So what are these days? I love that. It's like everything I
good.
talk about all the time. It's like people go, oh, well, that's when things were good. They were the golden years, and that was this, and that was back then. And don't you remember the good times?
Yeah, you're not present.
You get that a lot when you go back to hometowns. You know what I mean? Like, remember high school? Remember all that? It's like, no, man. Like, I'm more like, remember last night? You know,
Yeah.
like that was awesome, and all my friends were around, and we had the best time. And I'm having the time of my life now. It's like, I do hate when people say those were the days. It's cool to remember, but like I like celebrating the now, and that I've never heard anybody just like sing it that simply before.
I'm gonna check that one out.
Yeah.
I don't know that one very well.
It's called These Days. It's a very, very fun, it's an awesome groove. Yeah, hate when people say those were the days. So what are these days? You know what I mean?
Right
So
on.
what's now? Does today matter at all if all you talk about is
those days.
Yeah, it's great. They're a great band. Philly band.
All right, this next segment is called the Top 40. I personally, I don't like too many of the tunes in the top 40 just by personal taste. But this segment, I talk with our guest, whoever it is. Today it's John Gilbride, and we talk about what is your favorite tune in the top 40 right now?
Top 40, first of all, gets this weird, I don't want to say stigma, but it gets this weird, people get this impression of like, oh, top 40, and so you love it. Because top 40, you go to clubs, it's top 40. But me as a musician, it always has this negative connotation of like, oh, top 40. Like, I don't play that crap. But it's the top 40.
It's the top, top 40 in the U.S.
Whatever it is, it's the top downloaded, top listened to songs in the world,
Right.
essentially. It's like somebody's doing something right. And a lot of it can make you sick if it's not what you like.
Or if it's overdone.
Right.
Like Hello by Adele when it was
Right,
on
but
the
there's
radio.
and there's something about artists who kind of acknowledge that too. So one of the songs in top 40 that I still like, it's been on there forever, "Girls Like You" by Maroon 5. Right, Maroon 5 has long been one of these bands, similar anymore. Imagine Dragons I compare them to a little bit because they're kind of going this way. Early on, they were this sort of acoustic, cool, new, different songs about Jane, Sunday Morning, all this stuff. But they've since evolved into one of the best hit-making pop bands out there, and they're just doing it right. And Adam Levine acknowledges that. He goes, I don't call myself an artist. I'm making fun pop songs with my friends. It's like, that's what it is. Like, that's what it is. They're great hooks. They're fun. You can dance to them. There's personality to them. And Girls Like You, I mean, I'm not going to sing it because it's copywritten and all that stuff, but like, man, that hook hits, and it's like, yep, that's going to live there for a while.
My favorite is it's not cheesy, but it's from the movie A Star Is Born, the new one with Bradley
Stubborn.
Cooper. No, Shallow.
Oh, that's what I meant. It was
It begins with an S.
I knew it started with an S though.
Shallow.
To
It's
quote
really
quote
good.
Dumb and Dumber. Knew it started Simmons, Salmon,
And
Swanson.
what's the? Don't sing it. And what's the other one that's good? It's not in the top 40, but there's another song on there that's really great.
Disclaimer: I haven't seen the movie and I'm sad about it.
Oh, it is so good.
I know.
Oh my god, dude!
So
I
I-
cried. Me and my girlfriend cried.
I've stayed away from the record because of
you wanna
that.
see the
Because of the soundtrack. Yeah.
Okay. All right, John.
Oh,
We're
is
at
that my
the-
favorite? Oh,
we're at
sorry.
the-
Perfect. Yeah.
That was it. It's good.
Good. Go for it.
We're gonna do the lightning round.
Ooh.
So I'm gonna ask you a question, and you're gonna answer as fast as you can.
Oh, this is
without
fun.
without thinking about it. You got to knock it out. Don't let
Okay.
me just peek on the microphone. There are 7 of these. You ready?
As ready as I'm ever gonna be.
First album you ever owned.
Oh my God! For Beatles White Album.
First show you ever saw.
John Mayer, Temple University.
Full band?
Full band. Guess who opened for them? Maroon 5. Crazy.
All right, continuing. Favorite
Wow.
song to play.
Favorite song to play?
It could be your own cover.
Of Monsters and Men, Little Talks.
That's a good one.
Yeah.
We play that one a lot.
Yeah,
Least
yeah.
favorite song to play.
The easy answer is Wagon Wheel. The other answer is anything Bruce Springsteen, just because it gets thrown at me so much, and I try my darndest.
Well, you're right next to Jersey.
I tried to play Rosalita a couple nights ago, and I didn't realize how many words were shoved into a 7-minute song. Mm-hmm. Oh my God!
That's the song that made me want to play music. is
Oh,
Rosalita.
I mean, I listened to it for the first time intimately with headphones, and I was like, man, that is a great rock song right there. That's like
So
quintessential classic rock, and it's incredible. If you don't know who Bruce Springsteen is, go look him up. Mark,
don't-
make sure you
can't.
bookmark.
Mark, can you look at Bruce Springsteen for a minute?
Also known as the Boss or
I'm checking
Boss.
it
or-
out. No, guys.
Okay, next one is guilty pleasure artist or album.
Guilty pleasure artist or album.
That you're embarrassed to admit.
Oh, I'm not embarrassed to admit, but let's see.
But maybe people might think it's a guilty pleasure.
God, I love me some Christina Aguilera. I gotta tell you.
Do you really like
God,
stripped?
yeah, she's unbelievable. She's such an amazing singer. I find myself like, Eminem. Love Eminem.
I don't know if that's it.
Not guilty pleasure, but like stuff you wouldn't expect from me. I love Eminem.
Okay.
I'm trying to think. I don't know why I'm so bad at this.
It's okay. It's off the cuff. That's why.
I grew up loving opera, and I love
Did
like
you
all that.
really?
Dude, that's what like got me into like singing. I swear to God, my mom had me these like.
Are we talking like?
I'm talking like
Clown?
3 tenors type opera, like on cassette, dude. Like on cassette in my car. I loved it. I loved it. I'd be like at camp when I was a kid, like singing on picnic tables and singing in the shower. Like that kind of stuff.
I can't imagine it.
And it just got me. It just made me. Yeah. It just
What's
got
that
me.
one called?
It just
What's
got
that
me into
song
singing a little bit.
It's Oh damn! I'm gonna forget the name of the
Yeah.
song.
Save it for the opera podcast.
Yeah, the opera podcast. Favorite album of all time.
Oh come on, man. I could tell you. I mean, it's really easy to go Beatles because I worship them so much, and Sgt. Pepper's means so much to me. There's not enough time to dive into that. I can tell you one that I always say, it is a Wilco album, and it's Sky Blue Sky, only because it's not an album that Wilco fans think about as much. It's kind of the record that made them sound like a different band than they ever were. You know, it's not like that California Stars type Wilco. It's a little more. It came out one summer before I went to college, and it came out the same summer as I think "Icky Thump" by the White Stripes and like "Modest Mouse," "We Were Dead Before the Ship Even Sank," and that really formed a lot of new, popular, different music at the time of my life. It kind of changed the way I listen to music. So
That's a good one.
definitely.
Least well-known artist that people should know about.
Oh man, I can't say Rob Tate, right?
No, he's a douche.
Yeah, he's a douche. Least well-known artist.
Someone you know is doesn't have a lot of traction right now that people should know about.
I'll tell you what, man. I'd be pretty remiss if I didn't just mention people from the trip, just because it's been a long time. Here's the problem: being a musician, you don't get to go out and see enough. Mm-hmm. You just don't. You're able to like, I can go listen to this video online, or this or that, but you just don't get to go.
Because we work every Friday and Saturday usually as musicians.
I don't see nearly enough. Oh no, let me go this way. There's somebody I heard at a house show one time. Josh Miller is somebody.
Oh, Joshua Chase Miller?
Yeah, he's someone that I've listened to intimately in an acoustic environment, who does some beautiful things with the loop station and does some beautiful harmonies. Mm-hmm.
He's working on a record.
Yeah, man. The Rachel Andys of the world, the Pete Hills of the world, like all these people. I've just never. It's been a long time since I've been in a room with somebody and I go, wow. People who say there's not good music out there either are just saying that because they're bitter about the music that is out there, or they just haven't looked. Mm-hmm. It's there.
It's totally there. And that's the reason I wanted to start this podcast, is because even through this conversation, we probably mentioned 50 or some artists that people could check out. There's tons of good music. I dare you to say...
Sophie Korn.
Oh!
I love her, dude. I love her. She does a great job. She played my release show. She did such a great job. She writes amazing songs. She's got a new song out right now. Permission, I believe it's called.
Okay.
You can fact check me, but that just came out and that's getting some traction.
Only I could tell Mark what to look up.
I think it's called Permission. Yeah, she has. I know
I'm
her.
still trying to find Springsteen.
Yeah, she's fantastic.
Guys,
so Sophie's another one. I can't just name one. Sorry.
No, it's okay.
We're lucky to have a lot of friends.
Your favorite artist that you listen to right now?
I still
that you are listening to right now. Excuse me.
I still just really appreciate The Head and the Heart. You have heard me say this, but I've never really talked about it. The Head and the Heart simplified things for me when I heard them. I was like, it's some of the most beautiful songwriting out there right now. It's their first album is so stripped down. I feel like there's just 3 musicians around one microphone in the studio just making these beautiful sound. Mm-hmm. So I love them. They have 3.
They are amazing.
They have 3 records out. You know. and the latest one is a little more rock, a little more like kind of Tom Petty classic rock type feel, a little more produced than the other ones, but it's fantastic. So yeah, they're in my heavy rotation. You mentioned Lake Street Dive. I've always loved the Black Keys. Yeah.
All right, and finally, when's the next show you got?
When's the next show? I'm playing with my full band on December 14th with one of my favorite Philadelphia bands, another one you should keep your eye on. Their name is Stella Rouge.
And their lead singer was on
their lead singer, his name is Brendan Johnson. He's fantastic. Got to know him really well over the past year. It's his band, Stella Rouge. They've been around for a little while. They're a jam and folk band. They're fantastic, have great songs. They're doing a December residency, and I'm playing the 14th at Bourbon and Branch.
That's right.
I think doors open at 7, so we're going to collaborate and hang out and jam. It's going to be a lot of fun.
Who else is on that bill? It's you and Stella
and newly Pete Hill. Pete Hill
that's right.
He just joined the bill.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
He's amazing. Where can people find you?
Where can they find me?
Online.
I'm depending on when this goes up, johngilbride.com will be live in the next week, which is exciting. So go to that, and if it says page not found, just be patient. Other than that,
go every day.
You can find me on Facebook at facebook.com/music. No. Facebook.com/John Gilbride now.
Can you change it?
I changed it. Yeah.
I thought you only could change it one time on Facebook.
I did, and it's now just John Gilbride.
Okay.
So I have a personal page, but then there's my music page. You'll know the difference when you see it. And then
there's a lot of naked photos on the other. Yeah.
There are. And on Instagram, I'm at John Gilbride Music. Yeah.
Do you do Twitter?
I have a Twitter. If you want to laugh really hard, it's basically everything post my music career. I was much more outspoken politically. If you want to listen to me rant about gun control and stuff like that, by all means, check my Twitter out. Other than that, no. And now I'm probably going to take it down.
Because we were going to go look at it?
Yeah.
Oh, man. Thank you for being the premier co-host of Dude, check this out.
I love this, and I love you.
And I love you, man.
Go Rob Tate. Go Hambone Relay.
Peace out.
Love y'all.
Thank you so much for listening to Dude, check this out. Once again, if you want to learn more about Hambone Relay, please go to our website, hambonerelay.com, or go to iTunes to check out our records, or Spotify, which is where these playlists will be located for these episodes. And don't listen to the haters, man. There's plenty of good music out there. You just have to keep looking. See y'all later.